Imagine a village where the streets are wide channels of clear spring water and the locals have to take a footbridge just to reach a dinner table. Years ago, travellers only came to Lake Ohrid for the famous beaches. But today, a visit to the lakeside village of Tushemisht, it feels entirely different. It isn't just about sitting at a standard waterfront table or staring at a massive concrete pier stretching into the distance. No, there is a completely different world hiding just a few steps away from the sand. Step away from the shore and suddenly you are walking along clear water canals that flow right past the front doors of local homes. It is incredibly quiet here. Imagine having lunch on a wooden terrace where you literally cross a tiny footbridge just to reach your table. The whole village is built over these natural springs. See those two swans floating by? They basically live outside the dining room. Let's head inside this small spot by the canal. The water is running right beneath the floorboards. Guess what's on the menu? The chef here is proudly showing off his catch of the day. He keeps calling it, he calls it salmon, but it is actually the rare endemic Ohrid trout. Fresh from the springs and absolutely beautiful. Walking back out toward the open shore, the quiet canals give way to a completely different energy. Right by the beach, these local musicians are filling the afternoon air with traditional songs. That older man on the left, he has probably been playing his accordion here for decades. We were actually into the final week of our 3-week Albanian road trip when we made it down to this coast. We decided to just slow down and stay right here on the beachfront for a while, just to take it all in, before we walked over to explore the village behind us built entirely on water. And as we were standing on the terrace of this restaurant, we were looking at this massive wooden jetty stretching out into the glassy water. Tushemisht sits less than 2 kilometers from the North Macedonia border, and during the paranoid regime of Enver Hoxha, this wasn't a peaceful holiday spot. It was a heavily fortified iron curtain. Border guards actually used this long pier as an elevated checkpoint, scanning the deep water for anyone attempting to swim across the forbidden boundary. It is wild to think that a place built on total border paranoia has now transformed into a quiet, sun-soaked platform where people just stand and watch the lake. But looking closely at this massive wooden jetty stretching out into the glassy water, you quickly realize just how unusually long it is. Geographically, the shore here stays incredibly shallow for a long distance, so a structure like this was simply necessary out of practical necessity, just so local fishing boats could dock safely without hitting the shallow bottom. By the way, we have broken this video down into chapters, just so you can easily follow along with our walk today. If you're new to the channel, that is Kathy today in red. This vast expanse of water is the Lake Ohrid. Because this lake never froze or dried up during the ice ages, it harbors a completely unique evolutionary biosphere, with over 200 species found nowhere else on Earth. It is actually one of the oldest and deepest lakes in the entire world, estimated to be up to 5 million years old. We thought we'd grab a quick refreshment here before heading into the village. We actually had to pass this hotel to get to the village, and it is wild how they turn their own parking spaces into an auxiliary pool terrace, just to beat the summer crowd. Heading away from the beachfront, we began winding our way through these narrow village alleys, just to see how the locals actually live back here. Looking up, you notice grapevines, heavy with fruit, hanging over almost every wall. It feels like a hidden garden, built literally right over the running water. We kept drifting down this stone path, passing right by a few of the local taverns and quiet doorsteps. Just around the corner, we came across a local lady selling her own homemade harvest right on the street. And it is interesting because once you step away from the main tourist spots, you realize that the local life here hasn't changed much in decades, as we have noticed throughout this entire trip. If you are enjoying this peaceful walk with us, please take a second to like, share, and subscribe. Liking the video really helps other people find this content too. What you are looking at isn't just a scenic village layout. It is actually a massive, centuries-old network of natural underground springs. The water here is constantly rushing down from the surrounding mountains, filtering through the limestone for up to a decade before bubbling up right here. Because the water is so incredibly pristine and cold, the locals historically engineered the entire village around it, creating these channels to run beneath their floors and gardens as a natural, built-in refrigeration system for their food. Walking through here today, it is really fascinating to think about how much this specific pocket of the country has transformed. During the communist era, when Albania was completely isolated from the rest of from the entire world, this border zone was heavily restricted. You couldn't just wander around these streams, but today, those very same homes built over the water channels have been turned into family-run guest houses and tiny taverns, making it a perfect example of how the country has shifted from total isolation into this welcoming, hidden gem. And if you sit down at one of these waterside tables, you will almost certainly see the famous Koran trout on the menu. This ancient fish is completely endemic to Lake Ohrid, found absolutely nowhere else on Earth. It is so legendary for its unique flavor that even Queen Elizabeth II reportedly had it regularly flown out to the royal palace over the years. It just shows you that even a quiet, slow-paced village like Tushemisht holds these incredible, world-class surprises, just steps away from the water's edge. It really makes you appreciate how deeply connected the people here remain to the natural rhythms of this land, and how much history is tucked away in every corner. We really hope you enjoyed this short walk around Tushemisht with us today. Thank you so much for coming along, and we will see you in the next video.
Okay.